Welcome to this episode of the 9420 podcast, where we talk about the music that we love and the industry that we tolerate.
As the hours go by like minutes, as our life passes for our eyes, our time is like sand in an hourglass. Once it's over, you can't go back. So take every chance that you can. May never get that chance again. So as I sing the song, know you belong. Follow the road, see where it goes, 'cause everybody knows it won't always turn out the way you say. So whatever your life becomes, just take life as it comes. Our life is like a speeding bullet, and that's been shot out of a gun. Take off running somewhere. Well, time will catch you on the run. So as I sing the song, know you belong. Follow the road, see where it goes, 'cause everybody knows it won't always turn out the way you say. Your life becomes, just take life as it comes. Try not to live too fast, cause this life just don't last. So as I sing the song, know you belong. Follow the road, see where it goes, 'cause everybody knows it won't always turn out the way it seems. So whatever your life becomes, just take life as it comes.
Hey everyone, that was Dylan Westmoreland's single Take Life as It Comes off of his new EP, Remember I'm Here. Hi Carl, hi Greg, how are you guys doing today?
Hello, Nicole. You know, and that guy has a pretty interesting story, doesn't he, about how he got to do that? Tell us the story.
He does. So we found him on Instagram couple months ago. He's just kind of someone we were looking at just because he had been saying he was going to be coming out with an album. So we were kind of interested in like what was going on with him. But Dylan is actually in the United States Air Force. And at the time that we started talking to him, he was stationed out in Saudi Arabia. And what was funny is he was basically talking about how he was recording all of these songs and figuring out how to get his album out and really persevering through all of that because
he's planning for when he gets back.
He's planning for when he gets back. Unbeknownst to him, when all of this happened, COVID also happened. So his deployment got extended indefinitely, which for any service member is always heartbreaking because you try and make plans and you try and figure out what you're going to do when you get home. And, when you have an end to all of this, it kind of gives a little bit of hope that you're not going to be stuck there forever. So he actually then, knowing that he wasn't going to get home in time to actually record this album, had his microphones and his equipment all sent over to Saudi Arabia. And he recorded in the tents and the things that they had over there just to be able to get the sound down. And once he did that, he sent it off to a studio, I believe in Tyler, Texas, to master and remix all of these things so that when he finally did get home, he was able to release this and dedicate the entire album to military service members.
When you're listening to these songs, don't mind the explosions in the background.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, but he has a great story just because it goes to show that, like,
that's interesting, right? It's really cool.
No matter what life throws your way, you can always get stuff done if you're really dedicated to the dream that you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it really speaks to like the commitment and the resolve that artists take. And sometimes creating isn't as easy as everybody thinks it might be.
And I think it shows that you can get creative in any type of area that you're in, regardless of the circumstances.
Yeah, it just kind of underscores the importance of music discovery too, because a lot of these projects, I mean, we complain all the time about how with digital, I mean, like everybody's in the game. Everybody's making an EP. Everybody's out there promoting what it is that they've done. And so it makes the discovery of all this music difficult because there are thousands and thousands of recordings out there. Well, fact of the matter is that there are so many great stories out there about people persevering and getting things done. Seems to me that that makes music discovery that much more important, and we should be finding this stuff, looking for it, and happy to feature that track.
Let's talk about the. Okay, I'm ready now.
You're ready now? Are we about?
Wait. Go ahead.
Are we about to talk about the question of the week?
There you go. See, I got it on time.
You finally got it right. It only took how many tries?
Yeah,
14.
14 tries. Okay.
Anyway.
So
what is the question again?
So the question that we have this week, and we had two pretty decent answers that we're going to feature from our listeners. But the question of the week was, what was your motivation to pick up your first instrument?
And as always, Carl and I can't remember our first motivation for
no,
doing
but
I do know mine. Like I know my story. Should I tell mine?
I would tell yours because you told us a little bit about it a couple of weeks ago, and I think it's just interesting.
When I was really young, about 8 years old, I remember my mom. She was an orphan, my mother, right? Anyway, when she finally, met my father, she got married and moved out to Long Island, to the suburbs. She always read about, being well-rounded as a person. So she gave me tap dance lessons, and she wanted me to learn a language, and she thought I should play an instrument because I'd be popular at parties and I'd get a musical, she was kind of cool that way, So she goes, what do you want to play? And because we didn't have a lot of money, she couldn't afford a piano. And I didn't want to play anything that I speak in my mouth. Like I didn't want a trumpet or a flute or anything like that. And cello and strings, I could care less. So I settled on the guitar. 3 years I was forced to go to Mr. Cimello's in Oceanside Music School, doing the Al Bay book. What was it? Is that the book? And I hated it. Finally, I said, Mom, can I stop this? Mel Bay.
Right.
Well, that's why I got the wrong book. I got his brother Al's book.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm like, that's why I quit. So anyway, I said, after I think I was around 11 or 12, I said, Mom, can I stop this? I hate this. Going every day, I got to rehearse. I got to go back and down, farmer in the Dell, stupid things. So anyway, all done. Put it away, put the guitar up in the attic, about 2-3 years later. So now I'm like 14 maybe. I go to Club 6. That was the big dance at the junior high. And I see my friend Mike Oxius. He's in this band, right? And I was in love with this girl, Leslie Bates. She was and I saw her, and she was there. I'm there with my friends, and I see her Google-eyed looking up at Mike Oxius because he's in the band. I go,
Hit us up on
wow.
Instagram, Leslie.
Yeah.
Well, this is it. This is it. Like, the guitar. This is what's going to get me in. So, this has power. This thing being on stage singing. So I remember coming home. I was like 10 o'clock at night. I come home. I'm like 14. I'm up in the attic. She goes, "What are you doing up in the attic?" My mother's yelling at me. I said, "Mom, where's the guitar? Where's the guitar?" I went up that night and got the guitar and started learning, like, "Hang On Sloopy" or some stupid song, and that was it. And that was the beginning of it. And then, like, it just never quit. And as I got older, it just stuck. So basically, for good or for bad, I owe my whole musical career to Leslie Bates.
There you go. Hit us up, Leslie. Let us know what you're doing out there. Yeah.
Maybe you can answer our next question of the week.
Right.
Nicole, do you play an instrument, or did you ever pick one up?
I did. So we found out, I think in last week's episode, that I have a twin. I forget if it was last week's or the week after.
Right.
We're peeling back the onion.
Right.
So I don't know what it was like for you guys, but in our elementary school, when you got to third or fourth grade, I forget which one, you got to start making your wish list for the instrument that you wanted to play in band. Because fourth, fifth, and sixth, you were able to be in band and chorus and all of the fun things that the creative arts were able to bring us. So me and my sister shared a room, and we decided that we were going to make our wish lists. And our wish lists were exactly the same. And what you don't know is me and her are very competitive, even though we were cheerleaders together and we played softball together and whatnot. Like, there was always like a level of competition. Like, we had to be better than each other. So I remember I changed my list because there was no way that I was going to play the same instrument as my sister. And she ended up getting the clarinet and I ended up getting the flute because of that. So I was a flautist for 4 years, and then I stopped in middle school because then they gave you the option of, like, do you want to continue with band or not? And I didn't. I personally like singing better, so I went on to just pursue chorus throughout the rest of my educational days. But I enjoyed it. I did not enjoy the band teacher, though. I think she was kind of a little bit of a biatch.
It's funny. I think there's a sameness to our stories, because the central figures in these things early on are usually the music teacher, right? Mm-hmm. And so I did not participate in anything related to music in school. I was in all the choirs, but not because I could sing, but it took up a couple hours of the afternoon that you might otherwise have to be doing some studying. So I got into the choirs, and I was able to, survive that. But I played drums since the time I was 5 or 6 years old. I took lessons. I had this, at the risk of creating another Earl Gregory episode. I had this really amazing teacher. His name was John Roy, and I believe Mr. Roy is still playing and still active in the music community in Louisville, Kentucky, as we speak. And this is in the 60s, man.
Back
I don't know
in the
how old
60s,
John
in the 60s in Kentucky, all the pharmacies had drummers.
Right, exactly.
All the drugstores had a drummer in the back.
That is a reference to the ongoing argument that we have about organs in the 60s. Right. But no, so I took lessons for many years, and that was really not. I mean, Mr. Roy was
every dentist office had a banjo player.
It was kind of interesting in retrospect because he gave lessons at a place called Durloff's Music Shop in Louisville, Kentucky.
Did you practice on drums or a pad? That's the whole thing too.
Well, there were two rooms, and you graduated from the pads to the drum kit. Yeah.
So I see the connection. That's why you have this thing with the pad.
Ah, there you go. Yeah, no. So it's interesting in retrospect. I mean, I think back, I didn't practice. I never practiced, and I was always disappointing Mr. Roy. And
your rudiments. You practice your rudiments.
Yeah, you were talking about Mel Bay. We had Haskell hair. That's the name of the guy that created the Bible for early rudimentary drums, paradiddles, and that kind of thing. Exactly. So, but what I discovered many years later was that Roy got pretty disgusted with me because I wouldn't practice. So we would go in, he would give me something to do, and I'd leave, and I wouldn't practice at all the entire week. And then my mother would take me back down to the basement where the drums sessions were in Durloff's music shop. He would lay the music out and say, "Did you have a chance to practice?" And I'd say, "No, but I'll give it a shot." I would play for a minute or two, and he would basically chastise me and say, "You really should practice. You're wasting your mother's money." He said, "You should take 15 or 20 minutes to practice this, and then you can play it for me again." He would leave, and my mother and Mr. Roy would chat for the entire lesson. He would come back in and say, "Let me hear it." I'd play. He'd say, "Yep, if you'd practice, we'd have a much better time of this." He'd give me something to practice the following week, and it would be the same thing over
Was
and
he
over.
hitting on your mother?
I can't say that he was, but I know that he was admired throughout the city for his drum lessons. So I can't go public with that scandal.
Bring it out in the open, the Roy drumming scandal of Kentucky.
Yeah, there you go. Now, and so and I never really liked the formal lessons. I mean, I played in bands, and I was interested in drums as an instrument, and I went
as furniture.
Yeah, right. Well, later in life, in college, the kick drum case became the coffee table and that kind of stuff.
The beer pong table.
The problem with drums is that, for one, they're too much to carry. Guitar is easier.
It's incredible. Yeah, it's like
too much to set up.
The weird thing about it is that while I played drums and I couldn't, I'm completely immersed
were you any good?
No, I think I was absolutely adequate from the time I think I was like a prodigy at age 8. And then by 12, I was probably playing less than other kids that were more talented.
You're like a Doogie Howser.
Yeah, so I just like
eventually just catch up with just a regular person.
Exactly. I mean, I played well when I was a kid, and then by the time I got 16, 18, I mean, guys were just passing me right and left. So I've always loved to play. Very odd thing that happened to me. I hadn't played in 25 years, and a couple years back, I started dreaming about playing, and so I told my wife, I said, "You know what? I'm getting them damn drums out of the attic, and I'm going to put them back together, and I'm going to sit and play. Why wouldn't I?" And it's been
so. Maud is your Leslie Bates.
No, I do think we were playing out, and I was playing in bands about the time I met Maud, my wife. But no, she's always known that the business side of things is really where my interests lie. But I did pull the drums out. And I did play, and I played exactly like I did when I was 12 years old. So
there you go. Let's hear what one of our listeners. This is Matt Stewart. Let's see what Matt had to say. Okay.
Hey y'all, Matt Stewart here. So to answer your question, what was my motivation for picking up my first instrument? I would say honestly, just being a fan. Back when I was like 13, I got really into bands like Green Day. So I essentially just wanted to be like Billie Joe Armstrong and wanted to do the whole rock star thing. And granted, I never really started playing until I got into college, but that desire never really left. And so, yeah, I guess that's really why I'm doing what I'm doing now. And yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah, I agree. It's like, I don't know, but, later on I became, I think I fell into what I believed, maybe I'm fooling myself, but became an artist per se. Got into lyrical and being thoughtful and writing things. But initially, I just wanted to meet girls.
Yeah, I never had the notion whatsoever that being a musician was a way to get the attention of girls.
That's to me. I'm completely. There was no lofty, deep, profound anything to me being in this initially. It was just because I wanted to. Plus, I didn't want to work a real job. I'm serious.
That's funny.
And the joke of it is, I never really have, in my life, so, so anyway.
No, I think, but that's a testament to you being able to have your own career in like whatever way, shape, or form you've actually been able to do it in. So, I mean, knowing that you never wanted to actually have like a by the book 9 to 5 career, I mean, you've been able to do that, which I think is great.
And there's been some feast and famine years. Don't get me wrong, but but hey,
But you're still here.
I'm still here. Whatever. So let's hear someone else. I think another artist, Kelley Jeanne, answered the question. Let's see what Kelley had to say.
Hey everyone, this is Kelley Jeanne, and the trumpet was actually the first instrument that I ever picked up and that I ever learned how to play. And my motivation behind it was my mom. My mom was a music teacher, so she taught me how to play trumpet, piano, and she has been my motivation behind everything that I've done musically. Right now, I'm actually getting better at guitar. I know how to play guitar for songwriting purposes, but I want to become a much better guitar player so I can play with the guys in the band. And my first guitarist that I ever worked with, Chase, he is in the band right now, and my best friend, he has been teaching me to become much better at guitar. So I've been working on that, and hopefully I will be a much better guitar player here soon. But my motivations for anything musically, I guess, has been my mom and the guys in my band and Chase.
There you go.
Are you of the opinion that great players are just great players, and you can practice 8 or 10 hours a day if you're a mediocre player, and you can get better and you can get good, but you're never going to be great unless your brain is pre-wired for it? Is that kind of your opinion?
I agree. I think it's like being a comedian. Anything else, you either have it or you don't, and that's what I feel. Like anything else, you can, hard work can get you so far, but then to be really amazing at anything, there's that special little something that you have to have. And
I think it's a combination of passion and skill. Like if you don't have both of them and you don't have what you said, like the workings to make that skill a super passionate thing that could make you potentially great, you're never going to get to be part of the greats in that kind of skill that you're trying to do.
But I believe, maybe again, I do all these pronouncements, but you can have as much passion as you want and have as much trying and rehearsal and work on it as hard as you can. But some people just will never get there.
Right.
Perfect story about, it's in your fingers. One day I was watching Letterman and Valerie Bertinelli was on the show, right? And that's when she was married to Eddie Van Halen, right? So she's on the show. So David goes, "So how's Eddie doing?" And she goes, "Oh, he's okay. He's backstage." And he goes, "Oh yeah, why don't you have him come out? You think he wants to come out?" She goes, "No, I don't think he wants to come out." She goes, "Nah, have him come out." So they drag him out of the backstage, to be on the show. So he goes, "You want to play a song with us?" He goes, "Okay." So he goes up to the bandstand. The guy gives him his guitar, and I see it's just a regular Stratocaster with a wire plugged right into a Marshall head. There's no boxes. There's no nothing, right?
Right.
And then he starts I see him doodle around with the amp a little bit. He starts playing around the guitar. He goes, "Okay." And they know everything. So he goes, "Let's do Panama." That song, and he starts playing Panama. And then I realized, it's not in the studio. It's not in his boxes. That shit's in his fingers. Right. It's in his hands. Right. He makes he made that guy's guitar sounds like Eddie Van Halen because it was in his hands. Yeah. And then that's what I think it is. You have it or you don't.
Yep. I think that's true. I mean, for as much listening as I've done, I mean, it was obvious to me early on that, there were guys playing things that I would never physically be able to play, even if I practiced, 8 or 10 hours a day, right? Those things don't occur to me. Those figures I don't hear them in my head. Therefore, how am I going to use motor skills to make it happen on the instrument, right? I've talked about him before on previous podcasts, but I have a really good friend named Gary Burke, who's just a world-class. The funny thing is that if you go hear Gary play, or if you listen to the recordings he's played on, a lot of Joe Jackson recordings and others. He played with Dylan with the Rolling Thunder Review. I mean, he's a really heavyweight cat. And the thing is that he just doesn't play a lot of licks. I mean, it's all absolutely 100% in the feel and in the time that he plays and how he measures time in the tune. It is absolutely impossible not to nod your head and to be drawn in to the rhythm associated with what this guy plays. And it's so cool. You know,
and that's hard. That's hard. I agree, and that's
he's
hard
not
to
flashy.
do.
He's not flashy.
Well, that's the whole thing. Flashy people.
Yeah.
There are people like who you listen to music or great bands, and these guys are great drummers, and you don't even know it because you don't even know they're there, but you'd know if they weren't.
Yep.
You know, but they're just so solid in the background of what's going on, and that's what's great about. They don't step on the song. They know how to play. They do what they're supposed to do. They're not there to be stars. You know,
that's the way with all rhythm sections. You know, if you go see a 2-hour show and you don't remember one thing the rhythm section played, it was probably a pretty solid show.
Right. Because they're, you know, and then
they're just doing their job.
Because they create a great foundation for the singer and the song to be. I want to play another tune off of Dylan Westmoreland's new EP.
Yeah, let's do it.
This one's called again. So all these songs were done in Saudi Arabia.
All of these songs were done in Saudi Arabia.
This one's called "Best Friend."
Hey man, how'd it go? Hey man, let me know. Hey, are you coming home soon? Did you talk to mama? I hope I get to see you tomorrow. Everyone says hi to you. It seems like years since I've seen you. I fell in love and then had to leave her. You know I look to you for the truth. I got your back, it don't matter. I guess I don't need a text or letter. Just wanted to catch up with you. 1 p.m. You're my best friend, and I love you. Me and Dad are on the lake again. You remember when we were kids? I always used to outfit you. Mama's asleep on the boat. We didn't catch a load, but we still caught a few. It seemed like years since I've seen you. I fell in love and then had to leave her. You know I look to you for the truth. I got your back, it don't matter. I guess I don't need a text or letter. Just wanted to catch up with you. 1 p.m. You're my best friend, and I love you. Almost forgot to tell you, I graduate in December. I hope you get to come on through. It seems like years since I've seen you. I fell in love and then had to leave her. You know I you back, it don't matter. I guess I don't need a text or letter. Just wanted to catch up with you. 1 p.m. You're my best friend, and I love you.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I like the cello again. So did he recorded the tracks there as well?
I think so. Like, I think he literally sent everything off. Like, he recorded everything there and sent everything off back to the studio in Tyler to just be mastered.
That's
Wow.
that's an achievement. That's really
It's
great.
amazing. And also it's a testament to technology today where like you can do anything anywhere, like it's crazy, man.
That whole thing about making recordings in adversity. Have you seen the documentary on Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young?
Which one? There's a bunch of
There's a bunch of them. There's one out now called I think it's called 50 by 4.
Okay.
It's like 3 hours long, and I went down the rabbit hole last weekend, and I was shocked at the number of times that band has like been on the verge of disbanding since the day they started playing together. But
right.
I was shocked at like at the seminal moments in their careers, and for the band, they were usually just completely immersed in adversity. They had a record come out called Deja Vu.
Right.
And they went on the road. They went on a major tour to support that. And this was like 1970. And I think like 10 days after they launched this tour, they were all fighting. The band was ready to break up. And then Kent State happens. And so I think they actually came off the road and went back to California to regroup. And everybody was in.
Well, the story I heard about that is that Neil Young went out into the woods and just basically wrote the song and came back and they just
Ohio, yeah. And it's like, and then the the moment in which they persuaded one another to go into the studio and actually record this thing. It was so raw and so extraordinary that but it's born of diversity or adversity.
Funny, but their second gig together was Woodstock. That's how
right, exactly.
But I remember they were saying how like he tells a story. I just read Graham Nash's biography, right?
Right.
And it's talking about how he was going out with Joni Mitchell, right? So they're driving around, in Laurel Canyon where they lived back in the 70s, and so they're on the way home from rainy, cold September afternoon or something. So they stop off at this flower shop and get some flowers for the house, and then they're gonna go into the house, and then
with 2 cats in the yard,
right. And so he writes this song, "I'll light the fire."
Don't do that. Don't sing it. Don't sing it.
But I'm saying he just actually did that song is actually just what they did. Yeah. They just came home. He lit the fire. She put the flowers in the vase they bought today. It's our house. It's amazing.
It really is, and
these are classic, iconic songs, and they're just little moments of people's lives.
And they're observations. Yeah, observation. It's super cool. But when you look back, none of those iconic records were made in under the best of circumstances. Everybody was really pressured, and there was a lot of stress associated with it. Not to mention the 72-hour sessions fueled by substances, right?
They're all tripping and they're drug guys. It's crazy, man. But those records, listen to Sweet Judy Blue Eyes. That is an amazing. I don't know what he was doing, man. Because there was all that acoustic stuff and that weird lead. They were definitely like unique. Steve Stills is pretty incredible. Maybe a lot of it's kind of pales right now, but that stuff was, you gotta remember they came from Buffalo, Springfield, the Byrds, all that's, the Hollies, all that kind of mixed together. And like, It was an incredible time, the 70s. That's why I recommend that movie, Laurel Canyon.
Yeah, that was cool. Yep.
Echoes of Laurel Canyon, that Bob Dylan's son did. I love that time. That was almost like London in the 60s. It was the same as like 70s, 70, 71 in like, Laurel Canyon, because that's where the Eagles came from, and Jackson Brown and Joni Mitchell and all those great bands, Crosby and Nash. It was a whole big thing that happened.
It was kind of a movement in that there was like such free collaboration. That's one of the things that, I think is either we're going to get more of it by virtue of the fact that everybody's kind of sequestered, or we're going to get less of it. I believe that collaboration really helps. If adversity can't kill creativity, then why would collaboration? So I'm hoping that we get a whole crop of great recordings out of the next few years. So
we'll see. Anyway, we talked a pretty good amount. We're ready already into 40 minutes.
It doesn't even feel that long.
So we're kind of done.
And it's so damned entertaining. That's what's amazing.
I know. Well, everyone, thanks so much for listening to this episode of the 9420 podcast. If you go to the numbers 94 and the letters TWENTY.com, you'll be able to access all of the show links for this episode. And if you want to learn more about us, you guys can search the website. Remember to follow us on the platform of your choice and leave us a review to let us know what you think of this podcast.
And Leslie Bates, if you're out there, just contact us.
It's going to be trouble. This is going to be trouble.
It is. We'll talk to y'all next week.
Adios.
Bye-bye.